Welcome back, Tribe. I have another episode here sent in by one of you guys. It was Americans reveal how they're falling behind on groceries, student loans, and more. Let's get into it.
You can see the impact of inflation most clearly these days at the grocery store. But you can also see it at food banks, where people who never dreamed they'd need it are turning for help. Even some with six-figure incomes are struggling to feed their families. Mark Strassman has tonight's Eye on America from Wallingford, Connecticut.
Forget the image you may have of people who are hungry. In America, hunger is now as mobile as this food bag serving a line 60 deep in Connecticut.
Being under financial stress takes a lot of time, a lot of planning. Sometimes
take Chandra Kelsey, grocery shopping on a tight budget for her family of 5.
It's whatever's on sale.
Food insecurity eats at her, a lifelong trauma.
You remember going to food banks?
Mm-hmm.
What was it like?
The first time I did it, I cried. To be in a position where you are doing okay and then you lose everything the next day, it's humbling. It's scary.
And yet you'd never suspect need has lived with his family.
Household income is roughly
$150.
Unreal.
2 people working full-time. Sometimes I work 2 jobs.
How can you make $150,000 and be food insecure?
That's not what you bring home after taxes. We have mortgage, insurance. We've got 1 kid on their way to college, 1 in college. Something as small as, $1,000 expense could throw things off significantly. This one's crazy looking.
On and on.
That's insane, bro. Do you hear that? That's $150,000 after taxes plus kids and college. Like this, why do you think people don't want to have kids anymore? Can't afford to have kids on a combined income of $150,000? You are left with almost nothing. You can't. $1,000 expense could throw everything off. Is that insane? That's insane. And I did a search for food bank usage trends over the last 10 years in the United States. And it says in 2021, over 53 million people in the U.S. turned to food banks, food pantries, and meal programs for help. 1/3 more than before the pandemic. Demand surged during the pandemic and has remained elevated. We have never recovered. By 2023, nearly 2/3 of food banks reported increased demand for food assistance compared to the previous year. In 2024 alone, 65% of food banks surveyed saw an increase in the people served in October compared to 2023. 20% more people seeking help than the year prior. In 2024, we had a 20% increase. So that means people are getting poorer. It's harder to come by. People are living check to check and falling behind. Not even check to check. 24% increases in food bank. It means you've fallen behind. Food banks distributed 5.9 billion meals from July 23 to June 24, higher than the previous 2 years. And it's only slightly less than the pandemic peak. Can you imagine that? When we are forced to stay at home, when so many people lost their jobs, when so many jobs weren't even open. We are now in a fully open, functioning society, as they tell us, and we are at pandemic levels, peak pandemic levels. In California, food banks served 6 million people per month in 2023. That's a 20% year-over-year increase. So the quality of life of the average American is getting worse. Yet we still get posted record profits of corporations. Explain that to me, please. In the UK, so that was just America. In the UK, the Trussell Trust, the UK's largest food bank network, distributed just under 26,000 emergency food parcels. By 23 and 24, the number soared to 3.12 million. The UK, we know how bad they're doing over there. Our UK bros are not doing well at all. It's a more than 100-fold increase over 15 years, guys. 15 years. Labor versus conservative, Democrat versus Republican. It doesn't matter. Do you see that? And whoever gets voted in, this keeps getting worse. In 2024 and 2025, 2.9 million emergency food parcels were distributed, maintaining the historical high. It says in the U.S., the number of people seeking food assistance increased sharply after the expiration of emergency benefits in 23, and demand remained high through 2024. In the U.S., we have a 33% increase, and it's stable. It keeps rising. In the UK, they had a over 4,000%. It says in the last 3 years, demand has remained at or near historic highs, with many regions seeing further increases in 2023 and 2024 due to inflation and the rollback of government assistance programs. This is literally an indicator of how bad off society actually is. Despite them saying the economy is healthy, despite them saying that companies are posting record profits, that record GDP production, that, we're not having we're not in a recession is what they keep telling us. This isn't a recession. The economy is good. We are growing. Where's the growth? More people are ending up on food snaps. Where? You got to go to a food pantry? You need food assistance to live, despite having a job. This isn't for people that are homeless. This is for people that are working. Yeah, you know how mind-boggling that sounds? You and your husband have a job, and you require food assistance.
For a decade, Kelsey has relied on help from Connecticut Food Share, the state's largest food bank.
What the
She
hell?
and 2 of her children now give back by volunteering here. All this food, and it's still not enough. Nationally, more than 50 million people need help getting food from charities like this one. Here in Connecticut, that's 1 in 8 people.
They're your neighbor, they're your friend, they could be your family.
Be able to qualify.
Jason Jakubowski, Connecticut Food Share CEO, told us demand for their food jumped 23% last year. He expects another double-digit increase this year.
Are you seeing more people with higher incomes who need your help?
100%. Many of them come to us and say, I donated to you for years, and I never in a million years thought I would have to use this service.
What has changed?
A lot of economic unpredictability. They're scared about their cost of living is going to go up to. They're scared about what the price of eggs is going to be.
Chandra Kelsey's scared about her job. She works as a program director at the Yale School of Public Health and worries about continued government funding of universities such as hers.
We are trying to be very cognizant that it could be around the corner.
And in its own way, Connecticut Food Share is feeling food insecure. Government DOGE cuts last month slashed nearly $2 million from its food budget.
How do you replace that?
We don't. That's the problem.
Is there any hope here?
We still live in America. People always step up to the plate. There may not be enough food, but we're going to keep doing whatever we can to try to provide.
Provided to more families who never suspected their new worry is their next meal.
Oh, that's amazing.
For Eye on America, I'm Mark Strausman in Wallingford, Connecticut.
When a natural disaster strikes, it can create a financial storm for homeowners who've lost it all. In tonight's In Depth, CBS's Dave Malkoff reports many are often left temporarily homeless and still obligated to pay their mortgage.
Double pane glass doors still have water in them from the storm.
You can still see the flood damage 6 months after Hurricane Helene hit Beth and Alex Brightman's home in Hudson on Florida's west coast.
Oh my God, the stuff that was in my china cabinet.
Since then, they've changed the message at their door.
Let's not stay home. It originally said, let's stay home, because that's all we wanted to do was stay here in our retirement home.
Flood insurance only covered damage to the structure, and homeowners insurance doesn't cover contents lost from flooding.
If we had a hole in the roof and rain came in, then our belongings would have been covered through the homeowner.
So they're using savings for repairs while living in a rental, still with a $2,500 monthly mortgage.
We still kind of live paycheck to paycheck.
About a month after Hurricanes Helene and Milton hit the Southeast, nearly 60,000 homeowners fell behind on their mortgages. And there's been a similar trend after the LA wildfires. Right now, 4,100 homeowners there are delinquent on their mortgage payments.
They understand that you have short-term cash flow issues.
Economist Paul Willen says historically, lenders have worked out arrangements with disaster victims.
And the last thing they want is for a borrower to end up defaulting on a mortgage.
One option with your bank is forbearance, which gives you temporary pause on your mortgage payments.
Is basically give you a way of paying for stuff up front and freeing up cash flow.
It's given the Brightmans relief from their house payments for 6 months.
It's been helpful, but then now it's going to turn around and be a big bite.
That bite will be about $15,000, the total amount deferred now coming due. And forbearance can also have long-term consequences for homeowners, affecting credit, ability to refinance, and home equity.
This is the year to rebuild, recover, and then
Go from there.
Just get back to the day before the storm. That's all you want now.
if we could go to September 25th, 2024, that'd be nice.
If they could go back, they would have prepared differently, adding insurance and protecting their belongings before
Oh my God.
Helene arrived on their doorstep. Dave Malkoff, CBS News, Hudson, Florida.
Millions of Americans are facing a major expense they had previously thought was in the rearview mirror. Today, the federal government is resuming collections on defaulted student loans. Some of the $1.6 trillion in student debt outstanding. For tonight's In Depth, CBS's Lana Zak reports on loan holders already struggling to make ends meet.
Are you worried about drowning? Yes. I mean, we're kind of drowning as it is.
Jana Hartwood, a nurse in Iowa, owes more than $40,000 in student loans. 2 years ago, her son was born with a medical condition. To treat it, she exhausted her savings and had to borrow from her 401k.
What the fuck? Are you kidding me? You're a nurse. You work at a hospital. You still went into debt to treat your son's condition. At what point do people just rise up in the street and wring the fucking necks of these politicians because they're so sick of this corrupt medical system that way, and just society in general? And what is it going to take? When do enough people get to the fucking breaking point that there's going to be real consequences for the people that have instituted this system that serves absolutely fucking nobody but their own deep pocket? At what point? I'm wondering, how are you a nurse, work at a fucking hospital, and your plan somehow doesn't cover your child who's sick and needs help while maintaining the trope of the greatest nation on earth is the greatest fucking country in the world. We're the richest country in the world, and somehow this can happen. Does that not make your blood boil? How the average American is being treated by their government. Do you not look and see your average American right here struggling? This is a productive member of society, not a drug addict, not a fucking loser. Nobody sitting on their ass doing jack shit. This is a nurse in a hospital with a job that took some education, that serves her community, and has a child with special needs because they're ill and still somehow is getting fucked. And people wonder why shit like Luigi happened. I wouldn't be surprised if more Luigis come out in the future and start targeting every fucking buddy up there at the top, the ruling class. Would you be shocked, honestly? Would you be surprised if more incidents, high profile ones like that start happening everywhere? Would you? Honestly, when shit like this happens, it just takes this happening to the wrong person that's just sick of it, bro. I'm at their wit's end, and they've done everything correct, and they've paid into the system, and they've gotten educated, and they serve their community, and it's still not enough. Could you see the justified anger? The anger is justified, not the action. I'm not justifying violence, okay? But what I'm saying is, could you see how this person in their mind would feel justified to commit an act like that? Because they will happen if the system keeps getting worse, which it is. It will eventually happen. And then they'll spin it on the news as that this was a deranged lunatic. How could you ever think of doing such a thing? How could you really ever think of that? Really? How could this person lose their fucking marbles one time after being set on their breaking point because they've done everything correct and the system still fucking stepped on their throat? And you want it when we're going to all act surprised. They want us to be shocked for them. They want us to feel empathy for them. Oh my God, a CEO in broad daylight was shot. Oh, what was this society come from? How could that possibly happen? I'm not justifying it. It's barbaric. Is it? But is it also barbaric that we do this to our own who provide and give back through their hard-earned skills that they've acquired, which they paid money to get, and then give us back in terms of this care? Unfucking real, bro, the gaslighting that came from that, or would come from this, or will come from this one day soon. Jeez, man.
I don't think anyone takes out a loan with the intention of not paying it back. It's how easily you can pay it back that's the problem.
During the pandemic, the first Trump administration put student loan payments on pause, a policy Biden extended. But now the federal government is putting an estimated 5 million Americans into collections, taking the money owed by seizing some wages, withholding tax refunds, and even deducting payments from some Social Security checks.
There are extraordinary collection tactics that the government has.
First SU is with the Student Borrower Protection Center.
And the government doesn't have to go through the hoops that other creditors have to go through. They don't have to get a court order to take those benefits. They can just do it with a simple notice to the borrower, which, again, many borrowers are never going to receive.
When the government restarted her payments, Hartwood says she was never notified.
I was shocked. I had no idea that my loans were delinquent at that point.
So they never told you that you had any problems?
No. I checked every email. I got statements that had a 0 on it.
Many borrowers are spending hours on the phone trying to get basic answers on what they owe. The Trump administration is also eliminating some loan forgiveness plans, including for people employed by nonprofit organizations not aligned with Trump's policy goals.
It is an incredibly chaotic time in the student loan system. In theory, we have programs in place that are supposed to provide affordable payment options for borrowers. Unfortunately, that payment system is in complete disarray at this moment.
We reached out to the Education Department. They say the Biden administration is to blame because their, quote, attempts to transfer student debt to every taxpayer, the student loan portfolio is in a dire financial state. But for Hartwood, it's not political, it's personal.
You see how they pass the blame game? Forget Trump and Biden. Forget that. They're passing it around. That's what they're doing. They don't want to tell you that years ago, when the government got its fucking grubby nose in the student loan borrower situation, where they used to be private, you had to go to banks and borrow money, and then you could default on that. And by defaulting on that, there was a credit risk of giving you money. So you know what happened? We had very low tuition. The cost of going to school was very low. Why? Because you had to keep the cost low for what people could afford, because there was no big daddy government to guarantee the checks would be coming. If you made the loans too high and people couldn't afford it, and that the default rate was high, then nobody would come to your fucking college in the first place. But then big daddy government stepped in, and you know what they did? They guaranteed the loans. And what happens when you guarantee the loans? The colleges looked at it and go, wow, big daddy's always good for his paycheck. So even if they default, it's not our fucking problem. So you can't even bankrupt yourself out of student loans. Big daddy government's always going to come to collect. So then the colleges go, well, it's not our problem. As soon as we get the money from the government, we're good. Keep increasing costs. Keep increasing costs. The moment the government got its fucking nose in the college system is when all the costs started exploding. Get the government out of college and watch all of this shit go away. Watch the natural market take over. Watch the cost of college dramatically go down, because everybody's just going to fucking default everything away anyways. So then the market will find a balance between demand and cost. But no, we don't. Why? Because look how much money they're making on these interest rates on people. It's follow the money, guys. Always. They're distracting you with, but it's Biden's fault for extending these. But then now it's Trump's fault for we don't want it because it's not aligned with Trump's pot. They think you're a fucking goldfish. They think you're stupid. They think that you can't see further back than 30, 40, days into the past. That, the next headline will distract you. And now you're going to blame Trump when next time you go to the polls or whatever, the election cycle, in the next presidential elections, you're going to vote in Democrats because they're going to promise you that they're going to fix the fucking problem that they helped institute decades ago. They're both shit. It's both Democrat and Republicans' fault that this system even exists, because they make money. Do you know how they make money? Because the special interest groups that want it to stay this way, that instituted this in the first place, that put money into their pockets decades ago. Politicians that are probably fucking dead now, that got paid directly to put this in place. This is what they don't want you to start thinking about.
How much can you afford to pay back right now? None. It's not easy. Every week is hard. Every paycheck is immediately gone. It's gone before we even, have it.
Her problems shared by millions across the country. Lana Zach, CBS News, Iowa City, Iowa.
Measuring presidents by their first 100 days goes back to Franklin Roosevelt and the New Deal.
President Trump's first 100 days have been largely about the trade deal, and so far, there's been more wheeling than dealing, especially with China.
Today, the president downshifted on his auto tariffs to eliminate overlapping taxes on car makers.
They would not be hit by both a 25% tariff on imported vehicles and a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum.
Ed O'Keefe is in Warren, Michigan, where the president is holding a 100-day rally. Ed?
Good evening. The president's back in this battleground state, key to his victory, and he's touting his work on the economy and with tariffs. But as he marks the first stretch of his second term, people we spoke to here outside Motor City fear the economy could get worse.
Remember, who is this? CBS. So they're obviously Democratic-leaning, mainstream media, propaganda bullshit. So, of course, right? They're always framing the lens that it's Trump's fault. And then you go on Fox and they're going to always frame the lens that it's the Democrats' fault. And then what you have to really understand is the truth is it's both their faults. So watch this with the lens of watch them play the manipulation and the blame game while their pockets get fatter.
Touching down in Michigan, President Trump brought with him good news for the state's key industry. Automakers will still face a 25% tariff on imported cars and parts, but not an additional tariff on other critical materials, including steel and aluminum. The news was cheered by the big three American car makers, though customers will likely still pay more for a new car, and it does nothing to cushion the economic pain of auto workers Scott Duty and Tabitha Noble, who were furloughed just before.
And what happened? Why is there economic pain in the car market? Because NAFTA, because Mexico assembles our fucking cars, because this so-called free trade agreement of North America that got instituted by Bill Clinton was actually a fucking Trojan horse, a mistake, that the very little industry America had left, the manufacturing base it had, completely evaporated into foreign lands. Most of it already gone to China, and NAFTA just drove the final fucking nail in the coffin there. And who do you think assembles most of our cars? Yeah, they don't tell you that, though. Who instituted these fucking policies? And who keeps them going? Wouldn't it be nice if Trump said, fuck that, you're all paying heavy tariffs unless manufacturing moves back into the United States? No more assembling cars overseas. No more the vast production of the vehicle be done overseas, and then maybe you put a headlight in here and then now you could say manufactured and assembled in the United States. No more of that bullshit. Bring back manufacturing. Bring back the manufacturing base America used to have that made it into a world superpower, unrivaled by anybody. They don't tell you this, do they? They just kick the can down the road. They'll blame one side or the other and make that into a campaign policy to galvanize the voter base. And you're left holding the bag.
Before Trump took office, what does that then cause you to have to worry about in terms of costs on a day-to-day basis?
You know, your food went up, gas went up, our wages went down.
Utility bills have went up. Groceries have went sky high.
Both agree tariffs could eventually bring more jobs to the U.S. Duty voted for Trump.
I just think it's going to take time for more to happen.
Noble voted for Kamala Harris and is more pessimistic.
Unemployment's went up. Every day, somebody's closing their doors because nobody's going in to buy anything.
But that's not the case at the holiday market just outside Detroit. Store director Eric Schneider says customers aren't yet whining about higher prices, but they may soon pay more for goods like imported wine.
We haven't changed our prices.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if it keeps up...
Yeah, because wine, liquor, you operate on thin margins.
So far, Schneider says business is steady. The state of the economy here in Michigan is what?
It has been pretty healthy, but, again, it's kind of the wait and see.
Sort of this sense of something could happen, but nothing's happening.
And you see this little rat, how he's trying to, look, I want to teach you guys to see this stuff. Watch. You saw it here for a second.
Store director Eric Schneider says customers aren't yet whining about higher prices, but they may soon pay more for goods like imported wine.
We haven't changed our prices.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if it keeps up...
See, we haven't changed our prices, so this store has absorbed some of the cost of the tariffs, but he's trying to frame this as Trump bad. Tariffs are the reason, and you need to vote in Democrat. They're conditioning their voter base. Do you see?
Up.
Yeah,
you see? Look, that's that fucking rat pose. But if it keeps up, because I need you to continue the narrative for my special, but if it keeps up, and he just said we have to wait and see. We don't know yet. This is how they're getting you mad. Then you'll blame Trump for whatever. Then the next election cycles, let's say Democrats win, and then everybody will blame Democrats. And then this fucking charade keeps happening, right? It's like a 4-year cycle where everybody just forgets the bullshit because thank God my team won, but we can't hold their feet to the fire. You can't tell like MAGA or Trump voters like, hey, why did we raise the debt ceiling, which causes more inflation, which makes things on the shelf more expensive? The government is printing the value of our dollar away. We voted you in to stop the printing, stop them completely, cut budget, cut the government down at its fucking knees. That was the point of Doge, right? Cut all this fucking bullshit so that we have a lean running government that serves the people. How did we increase the fucking budget in the big, beautiful bill? You have to, as a conservative, ask yourself, what conservative principles does that abide by? To be a conservative, you would say you want small government out of your fucking pockets, government out of your household, and government out of your community as much as possible. We raised the debt ceiling, guys. It's okay to criticize your own team. It's okay to hold Trump's feet to the fire based on what he campaigned on. It's okay to say, I voted for Trump, but I didn't vote for this. This doesn't represent what you said on the campaign trail. We said we were going to cut. We said Doge was going to give us $2 trillion in cuts and we're going to balance the budget. That number turned into like $150 billion and then to damn near zero because Congress didn't vote on making those cuts permanent, on instituting the cuts. All they were was basically recommendations until Congress votes on them. It's okay to say this and say, I voted for this guy and he didn't fucking do what I voted for. It's okay to become jaded at the system. It's okay to get angry and start to say shit like, you know what, I'm sick of both of these motherfucking teams, blue and red. They don't serve us. It's okay to start gathering together. It's okay with the very people that you said were destroying your country on Team Blue, because Team Blue is saying the same shit about Team Red. Why? Because of news articles like this, videos that they read that frames the argument that this is a problem that just happened because Biden was in office for 4 years, because Trump is now in office, when really it was because both Democrats and Republicans for decades have been selling you out, the average American, and they don't want you to figure that part out. Until that conversation happens, it only gets worse from here. Anyways, I hope there's more to it, but I hope you guys understand what's happening. I'd like to cover more of this stuff. Appreciate people that have sent me this stuff in. Articles like this especially, send me stuff from all angles for like conservative media news, mainstream media, propaganda slop. I'd like to break it down for you guys. And just talk about it more in depth because it matters more than ever. Our societies are falling apart. The entire Western world faster than it's ever had. We're watching generational wealth evaporate out of the hands of the middle class and go straight into the upper class. The largest upward transfer of wealth happened before our very eyes. We've never recovered from it. And yet they'll say it's each other's fault, but it's both of their faults. I love covering stuff like that. I'd like to cover more of this stuff. So please, for everybody that's emailing me this stuff, send me more things like this, especially the trending ones that are getting a lot of views because they're usually very good. As usual, boys and girls, take care of yourselves. And we'll see you on the next one.